So where do we go after Yuta? I feel like the answer is obvious, but Hollow Purple Gojo is the next most hype unit that could possibly be released in the game. When do I think he's going to be released? Well, let me tell you guys, I think it's going to be sooner than you might think, and so you're going to want to start saving again and prepare for him. However, there is another character that is going to come out before Hollow Purple Gojo that is going to make it really hard to save. So today we're going to be taking a look at the timeline of events for JP, and then we are going to take a look at what this Hollow Purple Gojo can do, and then what that other character can do as well. So right now, according to the timeline of events on JP, we are currently going through the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 Part 1 movie. We're about to enter Part 2. By the time this video comes out, we'll probably be in Part 2 with Yuta out, but we have all of these characters available to us. These two are summonable SR characters who you should not be summoning for outside of the free tickets that you get, and then Maki is a free-to-play SR. I recently did a showcase on her, so if you guys want to see how she looks, she actually surprised me with how good she was. She's a defender type unit and has all attacker skills and is at the bottom of the tier list, but I made her look halfway decent somehow. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, go check it out. But then below that we have Yuta for the Part 2, where Yuta is going to be coming out on the 24th for us on Global, and at the time of this video, once again, when it comes out, he should be out already. And then below that, on the 29th on Global, we are going to be getting Geto. Geto is going to be the Part 3 pickup gacha for Jujutsu Kaisen 0. So when Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is over, that leaves us with who is next. It was supposed to be this Domain Megami. However, on Global, they switched the order. Domain Megami is already out and released. They used him kind of as a bait to get people to spend their cubes, so that way people would have to spend on Yuta, which was smart because Domain Megami is very, very good, and that's exactly what we did. Hopefully, you know, if you're free to play or a light spender, though, you did not do that. But I know it was tempting because he's very, very good. So that means after Geto, it will no longer be Megami, meaning we skip to the next unit, ideally, is what's going to happen. So if we go to the next month for the JP timeline, which was January, the next character to release after Megami was Nimble Body Itadori. Nimble Body Itadori, or Agile Body Itadori, is actually really good. He's near the top of the tier list for JP players, and it's gonna make it hard to save because you guys are gonna want to summon on this character when I tell you what he can do. But then after Nimble Body Itadori, if we scroll down a little bit more, then we get Hollow Purple Gojo. This Gojo is honestly really good as well, and you are going to want to summon for him when I tell you what he can do. Now, that being said, there is another Gojo that comes down the line who is not going to necessarily leave you like this Gojo, but still, any Gojo in the game is broken and top of the tier list, so you're probably going to want him. Also, his art is just freaking sick, as you guys saw at the beginning of the video. So let me show you where these two characters place on the tier list, and then we'll take a look at what they can do. Okay, so looking at the tier list, this is the JP tier list put together by the JP community. I trust this tier list probably the most out of any tier list, which is why anytime you guys watch my videos, this is the one you guys see. But Hollow Purple Gojo, double S tier up here, right next to Yuta, my king. And then down here in S+ tier, you see Megami. Megami is really good. Anyone that's used him now knows he's really good. And then they also put this Itadori on the same level as Megami. So he is also an S+ character, a very, very good character. The only Itadori that is above Agile Body or Nimble Body Itadori is the new first anniversary Itadori. So we will not get a better one for a good amount of time. So you almost really want to summon on this character. It's going to be hard not to because Gojo is coming out. Man, this is a difficult situation. They are releasing really good units back to back, making it so hard to pass. Now, with that said, I do want to point out Geto is here in S tier. S tier is kind of like the middle of the tier list because the tier list for JP only goes down to B tier. So he's okay, right? You could pass on him. This is the Part 3 JJK 0 banner. So, I mean, honestly, my recommendation is to skip Geto, throw a summon or two at Itadori, and see if you get lucky, and then, you know, go all in for saving for Gojo after you get Yuta, okay? If you get Yuta on the first or second summon, don't go for dupes. That's my advice. My advice is to get one copy of Yuta and then start saving again because you're going to want this Gojo, especially if you're free to play or a light spender. If you're a whale, obviously do whatever you want because you can have as many dupes of Yuta as you want. I will also say Yuta is a limited character, so if you're wanting to dupe him out quicker rather than slower, maybe you should pull for dupes. But keep in mind that I feel like in this game, you can earn free-to-play dupes. You can buy free-to-play dupes if you want to. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to keep pulling on the banner when you can just get versatile dupes eventually over time. You won't be able to get them right away, but eventually you'll be able to get them, and you can put them into any character you want, including Yuta. So, you know, just spend how you guys think is best, but just keep that in mind in the future. Let's talk about what this Itadori can do and what Gojo can do, and then I'll let you guys decide for yourselves if you actually want to summon for Itadori, or if you want to completely skip him and save for Gojo, or if maybe you want to go for Itadori over Gojo. Maybe you think Itadori's better. Just depends on what you guys think. So the new Yuji Itadori, let's talk about it. He does have a Black Flash. He's resistant to poison and soul damage. When a critical hit is performed, increases own critical hit rate. When a Black Flash is performed, increases own taijutsu damage. So basically, whenever he lands critical hits or Black Flashes, he's increasing his own damage, which is amazing in and of itself. Now, his skill 1 is called Cursed Energy Punch. Deals 120% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy. If you upgrade it to level 10, it becomes 180% melee taijutsu damage. At skill 2, Let's Go All Out, increases own critical hit rate by 40.1% for 3 turns. Increases all allies' break damage by 30.3% for 3 turns 2 times. That's really good. The break damage thing, that is freaking broken. I don't think people realize how important break damage is yet in the game, but that's going to be really important to clearing like high level content, especially like in Illusory Tower, and especially in story mode. There's going to be story battles that require like extra break damage. This is going to help you out a lot. Like story gets a lot harder. Story is a large part of the content in this game, and at level 10 obviously you increase your own crit rate by even more, 52%. That's a lot of crit rate, and then 48.3% on the break damage as well. So definitely this is one of his better skills. The buff is actually insane for himself and other characters on your team. And then his skill 3 is called Drop Kick. Deals 220.1% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy, increases own taijutsu damage by 25%, fills own ultimate skill gauge by 160. So he has a skill that gives him his ultimate even faster, which is beautiful. That's really, really good. And then he also increases his own damage as well. And then at level 10, it goes up even more by the damage he increases and the amount of damage he does. The only thing I wish went up that doesn't is the ultimate skill gauge. But so between level 1 and level 10, you're still getting the same amount of ultimate gauge. And then for his ultimate, Cursed Energy Flurry, deals 860% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy, increases the selected enemy's taijutsu damage received by 30.7%. So this is one of the better taijutsu characters in the game, especially because he increases the amount of taijutsu damage they receive for 3 turns, meaning after your ultimate turn, his other skills will do even more damage, which is really good. And the skill always performs a Black Flash, which gets you extra damage. That in and of itself is freaking insane. And then at level 10, obviously you increase it to almost 1500% extra damage. It's really, really, really good. And then last but not least is auto skill. Sukuna's Vessel, at the start of battle, grants poison and soul resistance to self, which we kind of saw up above when we saw his characteristics. But basically, Itadori, an insane buffer for break damage. He gets his ultimate back faster. After he does his ultimate, he buffs his own skills, and if you are running other taijutsu characters with him, their skills as well. And he always lands a Black Flash on his ultimate. All of those things make him insanely good, and that's what puts him, near the top of the tier list. Now, let's talk about Hollow Purple Gojo, because this Gojo is absolutely insane, other than the fact that he still leaves after 7 turns. He just says, peace out. So when Black Flash is performed, increases his own critical hit rate. So he can also perform a Black Flash, and he also increases his own crit hit rate, which is really good. His skill 1, You Can Handle It, Right? Deals 280.7% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy. Critical hit chance is great. Decreases the selected enemy's taijutsu damage by 15% for 2 turns, and their jujutsu damage by 15% for 2 turns, which is just helpful to keep your team alive. It doesn't really help him because he can't really be hit, but still. And then at skill 2, Composure of the Strong, increases the selected enemy's damage received by 23.7%. That's really good for 2 turns, so you can stack it. Increases the selected enemy's damage by 10%, 1 turn, and then increases own damage by 54.8% for 2 turns. That's really good. Now, if we upgrade it to level 10, you can increase your own damage by 70% and increase the amount of damage they receive by 30%. Now, this skill is technically better, than base Gojo, because base Gojo just buffs himself, so he increases his own damage. But this Gojo debuffs the enemy, so that means you're increasing your allies' damage in addition to increasing your own damage, right? So that's what makes this Gojo a little bit better than base Gojo. And then skill 3, let's start with you. Increases own break damage by 100%, deals 222% ranged Jujutsu damage to the selected enemy for 4 hits, decreases the selected enemy's damage by 10.5%. Really, really good. Multi-hit attack, right, is always good. And then increases own break damage by 100%. That's freaking insane. I think it's just a really good skill. Gojo's just insanely good. And then his ultimate skill, Hollow Technique Purple, deals 1000% ranged Jujutsu damage to all enemies. That's a mouthful. Decreases all enemies' ultimate count gauge by 2. So he does the same thing as the other Gojo, right, with damage to all enemies, but then he also decreases their ultimate count gauge by 2. And then here's the downside. leaves the field. At level 10, it's even more damage, right? So keep that in mind. And then his auto skills at the start of battle grants strategic retreat status to self, if I could speak, for 7 turns. Once strategic retreat status expires, he leaves the field. And then he also has limitless technique, just like the other Gojo. At the start of battle, grants attack immunity to self. So he's really, really good. Other than you just have to be a little bit more careful with how you use him, in my opinion. But I don't think the ult should deter you from just everything that he has to offer. He's really, really good. Now, when do I think that this Gojo is going to come out for global? In my opinion, I think looking at the timeline events for JP, right now, we are once again in the JJK 0 era, and we are going to be getting the Geto banner on the 29th. Right now, we're getting Yuta on the 24th, so he should be out at the time of this video once again. And then after Geto, we have from the 29th up until the 24th before the Yuta banner goes away. So Yuta's going to be here until the 24th of December. So I think between the time that Yuta releases and the 24th of December, we will probably see another character come out. It just makes sense, right? So sometime in December, we will probably see Nimble Body Itadori. That would be my guess. When exactly? I don't know. But then after Yuta goes away, that's when I think we'll see our next character. I don't think they release more than, 2 characters after Yuta, being Geto and Nimble Body Itadori. I think those are the 2 characters they release after Yuta. And then after Yuta goes away, that's when I think we'll see Hollow Purple Gojo. So in other words, when do I think Hollow Purple Gojo will come out? This is a prediction. I don't know for sure. I think Hollow Purple Gojo will probably come out around Christmas time. That would be my guess, along probably with Illusory Tower, because they did say that was going to come out early as well. But we will have to see. So let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Which of these characters do you think is better? Who are you going to summon for? Are you going to save? And then also, let me know how your Yuta summons went. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and peace.